Hey guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. Today we're talking Sex and the City movie. So last episode we saw the whole wedding debacle. So now we are going on a honeymoon. So we'll pick up where we left off, and we are, of course, going to a Mexican resort with the girls. So we'll watch that. We'll jump right in. If you haven't seen the other parts, go watch those. They're fantastic. We're having so much fun recapping these. But first, check out my merch, link below. I got Midnight Toast, Justice for Steve. It's a load of pants. Or find me on Patreon. It's patreon.com/Real Housewives Recaps. So we see Carrie in a blanket. She is still reeling from not getting married to Big and the whole flower fight in the street that she had. The girls are around her, and Sam was saying, he was fine at the rehearsal dinner, and she says, no, he wasn't. Why didn't you say anything? Miranda is looking guilty because Miranda had to go and say to Big, why would anybody get married? Jeez. Okay, so she's realizing she doesn't have any clothes there. They bring up, oh, you have your honeymoon clothes. Like, oh, that's supposed to help. But anyway, so long story short, Sam is amazing. She jumps into gear. She's been helping every step of the way. She says she'll figure out a way to get her out of the honeymoon. Apparently she paid it on her credit card. It was a surprise for Big. Well, Charlotte tucks in Lily. Miranda ends up telling her she did something really bad and said something to Big at the rehearsal dinner. Should I tell Carrie? And Charlotte's like, no. Don't do that. He's been weird for years. Don't make things worse. Oh, you guys. I just cannot with Miranda. I've never been a fan, but I really turned on her in this movie, and it has continued since here. But she's awful, right? Just awful. Okay, so she told him he was crazy to get married because she's having a tough time in her marriage. Anyway, so Sam couldn't get him out of the honeymoon, so instead they're all going to Mexico. Let me tell you where they really went. This was filmed at a house in Malibu. So they all go, and immediately Miranda's like, is there Wi-Fi? And everybody's there. I love Samantha's dress here. I think it's fabulous. I really do. I love this look. I think she looks so good. I don't love the hat with it, but I get it. It's fine. For resort wear, I just think it's such a cute dress. Okay, so they're all there. Carrie she's devastated, right? Like the wedding that she dreamt of didn't work out. She didn't get to wear her dress. Not a very good advertisement for the dress now that I'm thinking about it. They really do shitty things to the sponsors, right? I mean, we saw what they did to Peleton, so I guess if you wear a Vivienne Westwood dress, things aren't going to work out very well. But she looks in the mirror. They have the girls racing around to hide things like rose petals. No more honeymoon stuff. They're closing the shutters for her. All she can do is lay in bed. Now, I don't love Carrie. We know this. I don't love Sarah Jessica Parker. We know this too. But I will say she does a good job in this part. I felt the devastation. She does a good job of just wanting to lay there and, wallow, I guess is the word. So we see her just laying in bed. They indicate passage of time with the girls coming in to check on her. She wants to know if she dreamt it. Nope. They keep checking on her. And she's skipping meals. She just wants to sleep. So here's Samantha with a breakfast tray, encouraging her to eat, even feeding her. And yet this is the character that they wrote off as, oh, Carrie didn't hire as a publicist, so she left and moved to London. It just makes no sense at all. Okay, back to the movie. So she's saying, have a little breakfast. Carrie's saying she's tired. She says, we'll eat something and you could go back to sleep. So meanwhile, we see this gorgeous spread. For whatever reason, Charlotte is being very problematic here, and she keeps saying she won't chance anything. She'll only eat these prepackaged puddings. Carrie walks outside during this time, and this is the first time we've seen her up and about. She's asking for coffee. They're encouraged to see her out of her room and awake. And they say, yes, of course. We see them all laying by the pool. Samantha notices something I can't show you in photos here, but it's pretty disgusting. Apparently, Miranda forgot to wax. They're zooming in on it. Yeah, gross. And Samantha says, you forgot to wax when? Since 1998? So Miranda is still being an asshole. She says, what? It's my fault that Steve cheated? So she said she let the sex go out of her marriage, so she deserves it. She gets up, she walks off. Seems like, no, this one still has good sex. Like, she manages to wax. So, yeah, Miranda, you guys, Miranda, even her bathing suit's annoying. I'm just going to say that. Carrie suggests that they go to a hotel dinner tonight. Again, this is the first time we're seeing this out of Carrie, wanting to go somewhere else. She said she's been in a Mexicoma and she wants to do something different. Love Sam's dress here. I think she looks fabulous. So they call her Mrs. Preston at dinner. The waitstaff does. She's devastated. Charlotte apparently carried some pudding in her Prada bag. Carrie wants to know if she'll laugh again. And they say, you will when there's something that's really funny. Of course, setting the stage for later laughs. So we see passage of time here by them drinking margaritas. And she keeps saying he couldn't get out of the car. After 10 years of what he put me through, he couldn't get out of the car. This is where she keeps saying, I put a bird on my head. He's a bad guy. Yes, he is a bad guy. And yes, you put a big dumb bird on your head. So Carrie next day is saying her mailbox is full. Charlotte says she's going to go for a run and do some Pilates. Anyone want to go? Everybody keeps their backs turned toward her. Miranda has been talking to an attorney, and so remember that Carrie has sold her place. They all moved out, or helped her move out, and she sold her place. Well, Miranda's been working on that, talked to an attorney, figured out a way to get the apartment back. That seems to be a thing with Carrie in apartments, right? Where she just flips them really fast. Meanwhile, Charlotte is thinking about her happy marriage. She forgets where she's at. She opens her mouth, and again, in a very offensive way, they show her, she had a sip of water. So now she freaks out. She goes running. She's having terrible tummy problems. She's trying to get into the house. She's making these insane facial expressions saying, shut up, shut up. And just like that, yep, that's the line that Carrie says, Charlotte poughkeepsied in her pants. She actually says poughkeepsied. Charlotte had an accident right in front of all the girls. It's so crazy and so over the top. They all crack up and we finally see this is what makes, at those facial expressions, this is what makes Carrie laugh again. She has a big laugh right by the pool, just having fun with the girls because Charlotte crapped her pants. So, I didn't even think about this. They're all about bodily function humor and in Just Like That. And we see it here too. Carrie's alone on the beach. Her phone mailbox is full. She goes to check it. It says, Carrie, call me. It's big. She throws the phone into the water. Okay, so from here we go from this beautiful beach to the cold, gray Manhattan apartment. So we see her. She's in her apartment. She's overwhelmed. Everything's covered in boxes. No better time to hire an assistant. So from here, we get the montage of her interviewing different candidates. We have them saying things like, no, I don't lift boxes, and I love your books. Shit's brilliant. So this woman's drunk, like so many crazy people in a row. And okay, so we finally get to Louise from St. Louis. She has a degree in computer science. She moved to New York to fall in love. And, of course, played by Jennifer Hudson. She also sings in the movie. She's a very talented actress. I think it's cool that they have her in this role. So Carrie says that's a very honest answer. She asks her about her bag, and we learn about this bag, borrow, and steal thing, where it's like Netflix for perks. So the music starts playing. We find out it's been like 3 days, and she thinks of her as St. Louise from St. Louis. And so we see Miranda is looking for an apartment, and this is where she says her horribly offensive line. Look, a white guy with a baby. Wherever he's going, that's where we need to be. This is the same one that says all the crazy shit now, and Just Like That. This is where, you guys, I'm just banging my head against the wall. What is happening? Ew. A lot of people wrote this line out on And Just Like That, referring back to how the crazy things she said in the past and how they're trying to overcorrect it now. And it's just all a mess, and it's horribly offensive. So We go back to Carrie reading to Lily. They're reading a Cinderella book. Thanks for watching Lily while I went to the doctor appointment. So Carrie's like, are you good? And she says, I'm pregnant. She is completely shocked, and it's such a sweet moment. I may or may not cry during this scene because I understand struggles with fertility, and she's crying, and she's so happy, and she said they had stopped trying, and it just happened naturally. So there's crying and hugs, and I think Charlotte looks beautiful here. It's just such a sweet scene between the girls. So then we go over to Samantha. She and Smith are having sex, and they're talking about, he's calling her out saying she seems kind of distant. And he wants to know if she wants to talk about it. And, he says, I understand that your best friend was just screwed over by a guy, and how could you not think about it? He's thinking that that's the reason she's upset. And she's like, no, I don't have a connection here. I don't have a connection to our life here. And for the last 2 years, it's been all about him, and she's ready for it to be about her again. And, it stinks. I kind of get where they're going with this. I like Smith a lot for Samantha. I don't like that they broke up, but I also understand why it was necessary. P.S. Whoever picked these sheets out, I hate them. I really do. Who would have picked these? Definitely not Samantha. Smith, I guess, picked these sheets? I don't know. I just think they're really stupid and they don't make sense in this scene at all. Okay, so Louise is helping Carrie go through her emails. She asks her, who is John at JJP New York? Oh shit, that's him, right? So Carrie says, just delete it. She looks at one of the emails and she says she wants to end all communications with him. She says, isn't there some place you can send all those emails? Just do that. So then we cut to Carrie and Miranda. They are walking through a convenience store trying to figure out what Miranda should be. I guess all the parents at Brady's school dress up. What's funny to me is Carrie here looks like a witch. She looks like she's dressing for Hocus Pocus too. But Miranda is trying to pick out, these costumes. They're walking around. They're talking about how it all went down. Carrie tells Miranda that she got an email from Big that says, I don't know what to say. It said, I'm sorry in the subject box. Miranda makes it about her and is saying, Steve's all about the I'm sorry flower, I'm sorry cards, I'm sorry for everything. Just don't do stuff to be sorry for. Again, I'm finding Miranda so obnoxious. Her friend was just dumped. She won't even listen to her. She's making it about her. Usually it's the other way around, but it's funny to see Carrie doing the same thing and in just like that. It's just, I don't know. They're both so obnoxious. Carrie finds her issue of Vogue. So in the Vogue itself, there's an editor's note saying that the wedding had been called off and that as of print, Carrie was single and living in New York. She ends up going to a hair salon and coming out like this. I don't love the brown hair on her. Personally, I think the blonde suits her so much better, and that's how we're ending this episode. So not much more to go after this. Well, lots of stuff, but not much more. Interesting wise, I think the first half of this movie is much more interesting than the second half. So we're going to breeze through it. We're going to talk about some highlights and we're going to go from there. But thank you guys so much for watching. I truly hope you've enjoyed it. Check out my Patreon. Lots of cool stuff going on over there. And I hope you have a fabulous day and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.